So, a question that I have come up with as I've considered the idea of home educating my future kids, it worries me quite a bit to think about the one area that I'm super weak in, which, even though I'm really good at the math that I need to know, I still feel a little bit insecure at the thought of teaching my future kids math if I choose to home educate them.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine that there are a lot of parents out there that have that subject that they're also insecure about trying to teach or feel intimidated to teach their kids. What would you tell that parent or someone like me?
That's a great question. And you're right. It is probably the most common asked question of moms. Oh, I just didn't do really well in math. There's lots of options now. You can do something like a scripted math. So you're just like reading it and then you're learning it along with the kid. You might find that's nice because you renegotiate negative experiences with math in the process of doing that. That may not be realistic if you've got a bunch of kids. You're trying to nurse the baby, and also, that could be really too much. And so lots of great online programs there are now. I'm sure. I don't know as many of them because I don't use the online ones as much. Be careful with any that have too many games, because the kids figure out to just like mess around with the games,
Yeah.
and they don't really learn the concepts, right? So I have yet to find a good mathematical thinking one that's online myself. I'm sure there's some of you out there who found them. So send them in because I'd like to hear what they are.
Drop them in the comments.
Yep, do let us hear them. I love the Good and the Beautiful math because they just do a really great job of incorporating many things. Everything from measurement, like liquid measurement. They do, centimeters as well as inches, and that's nice in our world that we live in today. I like that they have little boxes of manipulatives that come with the things, the levels, so that there's stuff to do with. It's not overwhelming, but there's just little things to do. And when you get to the older grades, they have little videos with them that have explanations and stuff. So that's super helpful. When I say older grades, I think it starts in level 4. It's not like, clear, way advanced, right? And hopefully by then they're, a little more independent in their studies. And then you can just let them carry on with that. The other option is find someone who loves math and employ them. Maybe you have an older child that really loves it, is good at it, and can help them, or employ someone, in your neighborhood. It doesn't have to be a business. It can be if, that's affordable and in your budget, but it can also just be someone that's excited about it in your neighborhood that, your child can go spend some time with regularly and just have that one-on-one focus. That sometimes helps with kids that have trouble giving attention to things as well. So I would recommend those things.
Well, and from the kids' perspective on that, it sometimes I'd love to hear the parents' perspective as well, because from the kids' perspective, I remember the times that we would go and do math with grandpa, or we would do, it might not be math that's the subject that you're worried about teaching. You were really good at teaching math, but maybe you had an insecurity around history or something else. I don't know what it would have been for you, but maybe it's not math. If you're the parent that is thinking, insert whatever you feel insecure about here. Finding, as the kid, being in those external environments with other people. I remember aunts being brought in sometimes to help us with one thing or another. Phonograms, our phonics and spelling. That was one of the things that I remember one of our aunts helping with.
Yeah, and were you more willing to do it with her than?
Yes, because it was a stranger. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It's not a stranger, but it wasn't my mom. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, there is an element of that that's really good to bring in just a different person. So the kids are a little uncomfortable with the person and they won't just be like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
If you bring that other person in, especially if cousins are involved and they're, kind of going along. So we did do that. My sister-in-law and I did some math stuff. She did some reading stuff. And then we, traded kids, go back and forth, to the various stations. And I'm amazed how you guys remember what she taught, many years after,
That's
maybe
true.
even to this day.
Yeah, I remember she taught us about syllables.
Yeah, yeah. And if I had said that, it may not have been that memorable, right? But because you were kind of on your best behavior, you actually paid attention. And it was good.
Yeah.
So that kind of a thing, you find someone like that you could kind of trade off with, or just let them have time with your kids. And it provides nice variety too, which is nice.
Yeah. Now, on the heels of that, I should just say that, a parent could easily feel that, well, if I'm going to just outsource a subject, why shouldn't I just outsource the rest? And I think if you feel like homeschooling is the answer for your family, that you should know from the kids' perspective that, I was very grateful for not only the other people you brought in, but I loved having you as my teacher. That was one of the reasons that I continuously chose to keep doing homeschool as I got older, right?
Yeah.
So that was something that is something that's worth noting, that even if the kid maybe acts like, yeah, I don't want my mom to teach me this, in the end, mom or whoever is doing the teaching at home is the person that you do sees your safe place at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully you tend to the relationship so that the kids feel like that, right? Whether you do the math with them or not, hopefully the relationship is in good repair.